Hello, this is Zach Brooks with World Transplant Athletes, tips and tricks by and for transplant athletes anywhere, anytime, and online. If you have a body with a new body part and you can move, you are a World Transplant Athlete. As a two-time kidney transplant recipient and frequent participant at local, national, and World Transplant Games, I always wonder, how do other recipients take care of their health and prepare for competitions? Well, for me, there's only one way to find out, and that's to learn from the most inspiring transplant athletes around the world. Today, I have Marco Mestriner from Italy. Marco, welcome to the show today. How are you?
Hi, Zach. I'm very fine. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 5 tips from you, but before we get to your tips, I have some warm-up questions because I want people to get to know you a little bit. So the first question I have for you is, which kind of transplant did you have?
I have a kidney transplant.
Kidney transplant. How long have you had the transplant now?
10 years ago, in the September 2011.
How old were you when you had your transplant?
30 years.
Okay.
30 years old.
Well, congratulations. 10 years is a really big deal. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So question number 2 is, if you had only one word to describe your entire transplant experience, only one word, what would that word be for you?
For me, it's life.
Yeah.
Because
Why?
the transplant,
Yeah.
the transplant is the real way to take my life into my hand after my disease. And the transplant is the real door to return to my life.
Wow, that's excellent. Thank you for that. So the third question I have for you is, what was your first exercise after your transplant?
I remember that when I was in the hospital, I woke after 4 days, after 4 days of the transplant, but I had a cyclet, okay, in the hospital. And for me, was the first tools for the activity sport in the hospital, about 12 days after the transplant. And 10 minutes by day, about. And I did my exercise with my stand and go in this cyclette for keep my motivation to overcome the transplant situation.
Yeah.
The beginning of the transplant situation.
So you walked a little bit, but your first exercise was on a little stationary bicycle for 10 minutes. Wow.
Yes, 10 minutes.
Yeah, when I talk to other transplant athletes, when I talk to them about their first exercise after transplant, I'm always amazed. Like, people say, oh, I walked, 100 meters. I walked 100 steps, or some people do, 4 miles, or, but I always think that, like, the first exercise is the most magical exercise, because your body suddenly has this new energy, and you got on the bicycle for 10 minutes, which is just,
I feel that my life was begin another time after the transplant. Another time after the transplant.
Totally, yeah, reborn.
Was fantastic. Was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So the final warm-up question for you, Marco, is, in which activities and sports do you regularly participate?
I'm a volleyball player, but after transplant I was a basketball player, and sometimes I still play basketball in the court close to my house with my friend. And from last years I began to run, but I'm not a real runner, but I like sometimes to go to run.
Yeah. So you run, but slow. Is that what you say?
Say slow and a bit distance.
Okay. Okay, very good. So the next part of the podcast, I'm gonna let's get to your tips. So you shared with me your 5 tips for transplant athletes everywhere on how to keep your body active. And I'm going to read your tips, and then we'll go back to the top of the list, and you can talk about them in more detail. So,
okay.
Tip number one is find people who are close to you with whom you can train on a regular basis. To keep motivated, you have to do consistent training. Number two, do a little bit of work every day. Number three, listen to your body. It always is good to try to, go past your limits, but we must always be very aware and to avoid injury. So I really like that tip already. The fourth tip is find a transplant team where you can share your story. So I really am interested in the sharing the story part. And number five, set your goals for yourself, such as playing a sport or running or some small competition, something like that. So let's go to the top of the list, Marco. So the first tip you have for everyone is find people close to you with whom you can train regularly. Why is that so important for you?
Because for me, to do a regular activities, sport activities, you have to find a person close to you that keep a motivation high. Mm-hmm. Because if we are alone, okay, we do a sport for 1 day, 2 days, 4 days, maybe for a month, but not for me for a long time. The people around you keep your motivation high and help you to do a sport activity regularly and have a feeling with your sport activity. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so I like that one because I think your emphasis on that tip is, you want to find people close to you. And that's extremely important because if they're close to you, then you have a better chance, a better opportunity to be motivated. So it's a very good tip. So the second tip you have here is do a little bit of work every day. So tell us about do a little bit of work every day.
For me is a real way to reach a great goal, because if the goal is the glass, okay, we do a little drop every day in the glass, and every day we can do what we like to do, but every day a little bit, walk, run, go on bike, swim, and our body have a time to take a transformation and to have new opportunity to take a sport after transplant, because our body is different after transplant. We have to need, and he need the time to adapt after transplant. And every day we do our activities to help our body to reach the glass, the feel of the glass, the full glass of the water.
Yeah, no, I love it.
I hope maybe it's clear.
Oh, I love the thank you, Marco. I love the visual because it's, you have a glass and every day just a little bit to get to the top of the glass. I really like the visuals. And so do a little bit every day to fill up your glass. So thank you.
When the glass is full, you can change the glass and take a bigger one.
Make a bigger glass. Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
Okay. You start with a small shot and get to a bigger one. Okay. Very good.
Yes.
So the third tip you have is, and I really like this one a lot, listen to your body. It's always good to try to exceed your limits, but we must always listen to our body to avoid injury. So tell us about why that has been so important for you.
For me, it's important because the transplant person is not a person that had to do sorry.
Okay.
For me, the transplant person is a person that have to do activities, okay? And after transplant, we maybe some person think that they don't do anything, but we have to exceed this limit. Mm-hmm. But we have to listen to the body, because our body is our machine, okay? And if our machine is broke, okay, we have to stay stop it, and we can do anything for reach our goal.
Sure.
And is important to do always what the body can do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I really no, I love this tip, Marco, because it's such a smart tip because it's a balance between, you know, when you exercise, you need to push yourself. You know, you
Yeah,
need to try to, like, you have a limit, and every day you need to go a little bit more. And you know,
more.
yeah, and I know for me, when I first started, my first day was 100 steps. The next day was 120. You know, so it was a little bit more. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, you want to push yourself and be careful because you don't want injury at the same time. So I think it's such a smart tip for people because it's important to do both. So it's really, really
Yes.
smart. So thank you for that. Now, the fourth tip you have here, and I'm interested in this one as well, because this is like number one a little bit. So the fourth tip you have is find a transplant athlete team where you can share your story. So the first tip you had is find people who are close to you. But this one is find a team, a transplant team. Why is this one so important for you?
It is important because it's a little bit different from point one, because the transplant people have a similar story of us, and we can share our doubts about the transplant, about the sport for the transplant people, and then we can share our story to can find the answer about our question, what we can do, where we can do, which type of exercise we can do. Because for example, for me, in the beginning of the time of after transplant, I don't know exactly what I can do with my transplant. And when I found the transplant people and I can share my story, I discovered that I can do more activities that I don't knew in the beginning of the transplant.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, so it was really important to have someone who said, "Oh, you can do more. You know, it's okay. You
Yeah,
can do more."
exactly.
Yeah, but you need you because it's normal to be afraid after the transplant. But if you talk to other transplant people, they say, "No, man, you're doing very good," or "Be
Yeah,
careful."
yeah,
So
yeah,
you need
yeah.
the other people to
Yes,
help you with your own balance. Yeah. Wow, that's excellent. Thank you.
exactly.
Yeah, so then the final tip, you have the fifth tip is set goals for yourself, such as playing a sport or doing a run or something. So why has setting a goal been so important for you?
For me, the goal is the important because we have to reach a point where we discover that we can do this thing, and we have to keep inspired from another person, because we have to try to reach our goal with our body, but with our mind and our soul. Because if the mind and soul keep positive and strong, the body get better the sport activities.
Yeah. Yeah, this is such a great tip because sometimes, and I mean, you know, sometimes I like to exercise, but if I forget maybe like how I'm feeling, I forget about my energy, I forget about my spirit, and then my exercise doesn't work very well. So it's nice to make sure that when you exercise, you have a connection between your soul and your spirit, you know, and your body. So it's
Yes,
important to have these goals because you want to improve all of these elements, your body, your spirit, and your soul. Wow, that's fantastic, Michael.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, thanks so much. So this is this is just fantastic. I love doing this podcast. I get to talk to my friends, people I'm inspired by, and so thanks for sharing everything today, Marco. So for all the audience members out there in the world, please log on to facebook.com/World Transplant Athletes. World Transplant Athletes, tips and tricks by and for transplant athletes anywhere, anytime, and online. If you have a body with a new body part and you can move, You are a World Transplant Athlete. Marco, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you to you.